What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie Importance Flashback Reviews, where we take movies from our past, maybe my past, break them down, tell you what we think about them. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button if you haven't, find out what I'm doing next. Hit the like, hit dislike, comment, do all those things, help move on this movie emporium, get it bigger and better. So, Dark Phoenix comes out in a couple of weeks from this video. X-Men franchise is one of my favorite superhero franchises. The first and second one are amazing films. I also like First Class and Days of Future Past. So I'm interested to talk about these movies to you. Some are going to be better than others, as we're all aware. But you cannot not talk about this movie franchise without it being important in the lexicon of what the superhero genre is today, which is a big money-making machine, very relevant. Black Panther got a Best Picture nomination. We got the Batman franchise from Christopher Nolan out of this resurgence of superhero movies, because before this we'd only had Blade, which did alright, but we also had Batman and Superman, which were big movies for their time. But because of this movie and because of what it was doing, we finally got stuff like the MCU. We finally got stuff like Spider-Man. We finally got all these great franchises. And what we're getting here is the first movie that came out in 2000, which was X-Men. Now, before I actually begin into the actual review, I just want to warn you that I'm not really going to talk about Bryan Singer, even though he's integral to these movies. What he's dealing with, what he has done, makes me uncomfortable. So I just want to pre-warn you guys before I get into the review that I'm probably not going to mention him. But X-Men is, like I said, it's revolutionary in that it's the first movie to really hit big, to really bring the mainstream superhero genre to its fold. Because before this, yes, Batman and Superman had come out, but they were their own thing, and X-Men was a movie that helped. Because what happened was, I'm gonna preface it like this: the superhero genre was a joke. You have stuff like Spawn, stuff like that wasn't well received. Blade, to an extent, was well received, but it wasn't a great film. And they didn't think superhero movies could be profitable. Well, when this movie it came out in June, it made like $160 million in the States, made like $400 or $500 million worldwide, and was a massive phenomenon, and led into some great other films like X2 and Logan, and like I said, and so forth. But this also brought in a character, an actor that was originally going to be played by Dougray Scott, who ended up going to do Mission Impossible 2. And thank God for that, because if we hadn't had Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine, we may not have gotten such an iconic character. I mean, Dougray Scott could have been cool as Wolverine, but this really brought Hugh Jackman into the fold. It brought him into a kind of iconic moment of just, it was revolutionary for its time. And Hugh Jackman to this day is one of the best superhero characters outside of like Tony Stark or Steve Rogers, that he lives and breathes this character, and he does it so well. And that's why Hugh Jackman's such a great actor, kind of like Viggo Mortensen with Aragorn and so on and so forth, because these are guys that you see in these roles and nobody else. And it's crazy to think about that at one point Hugh Jackman almost wasn't Wolverine. But to say that with the least, this movie also has a great amount of characters. It has a great amount of cast. Patrick Stewart is Xavier. Ian McKellen is Magneto. You have Famke Janssen as Jean Grey. You have James Marsden as Scott Summers, Cyclops. You have Anna Paquin as Rogue. Halle Berry as Storm. Ray Park as Toad. Tyler Mane as Sabretooth, even though I think Liev Schreiber is a little bit better as Sabretooth. And it's just a great rounding of characters. Bruce Davison plays Senator Kelly, and I think X2 is a little bit better, but this movie set the mood, the tone, and the amazing aspect of what X-Men would be. And it's ironically written by David Hayter, who has voiced Snake in the Metal Gear Solid franchise. And he has also written Watchmen, which is another great adaptation. I don't care what anybody says, I love Watchmen. I think it's a great movie. But this movie is interesting, and it's dealing with politics, it's dealing with race wars, it's dealing with the nature of what a mutant is, why people don't like mutants. It's kind of like the white and black culture in the 60s. And it's a fascinating look into people that have normal human abilities that are so scared by what the superheroes were doing that they wanted to enact a law, a policy where all superheroes had to register themselves, had to tell who they were, so that, you know, because Bruce Davison, Senator Kelly, in the story, he's up against Famke Janssen, and they're talking about how he's worried about, you know, there's people that can walk through walls, there's people that can create ice, you know, there's people that have telekinetic abilities that could create problems for the society, and it's a fear-inducing problem that even today, you know, with everything that's going on, you get the gist. It's kind of still relevant for today, and that's what makes this movie so interesting. And it's played more into X2 and kind of Last Stand, but the movie basically starts out as this. We find out that the mutation has happened over generations. It has created this thing where people have powers and people are scared. Well, we have one group which is led by Magneto, which is the Brotherhood of the Mutants, and he is a guy who has been in World War II. He was in a Nazi internment camp. He lost his family. He learned about superpowers, and he grows up hating human culture and human nature. He thinks they're all like scum, basically, and he wants to create a way to have everybody be equal. He wants everybody to have superhuman powers. So he is in the process of building this machine with the help of Sabretooth and Toad. And of course, Rebecca Romijn, who plays Mystique. Jennifer Lawrence plays her later on, but they are trying to create this machine where it will get everybody superpowers, it will genetically alter their mutation, and so on and so forth. And Charles Xavier, who's played by Patrick Stewart, is trying to prevent this. He's trying to coexist the world into a better whole, but he's met with opposition on both sides from the Brotherhood of the Mutants and, of course, the Senator Kelly. And he also is in charge of a school for gifted, which is basically an undercover front for the X-Men and the School of Mutants, basically. And he is trying to make the world a better place. And when he has this opposition, it becomes a problem. It becomes a issue. And so they're dealing with that scenario. The X-Men are, you know, doing what they do. And then in the process, Rogue, who's played by Anna Paquin, she is a girl who lives in Louisiana. She almost kills her boyfriend because of her powers, because, you know, whenever she touches someone, she gains their powers, or she can kill people basically with the touch of her hand. And it's such a sad thing to see, because she ends up falling for a character named Bobby Drake, who's played by Sean Ashmore, and they can't touch each other. And that's what Last Stand was kind of supposed to play into, was her giving the ability to, you know, to give her the chance to be able to touch people and to have a love, and, you know, so on and so forth. But she goes on the run. She goes to this bar because she's a runaway, and she meets a character played by Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Wolverine's a loner, a drifter. He goes from city to city making money off using his superpowers to beat people in cage matches and stuff like that. But he is not a friendly person. He also has amnesia, which is a problem, because the amnesia has caused him to not remember who he is or how he got to where he is, why he has these adamantium claws, which is a super strong metal that can't be broken. And he also has the ability to regenerate, so he's lived a long time. We find out in X-Men Origins Wolverine, he's been around since like the 1800s, 1700s, but it's, in the comic books, it's never really explained. I mean, maybe it is in different comics, but the two form a bond, a relationship that leads throughout most of the X-Men movies, you know, especially in X2, X-Men The Last Stand, X-Men Days of Future Past, that type of thing. But this relationship really falls into a special kind of father-daughter relationship, and it's really, really cool. Because when you find out that Rogue's powers are found out by Magneto, he's going to use those powers to help sustain the magnetism, because he uses Rogue at the end to basically attach herself to the ball or whatever that's gonna attract the, you know, whatever it is. But so yeah, so they both get attacked by Sabretooth, and yeah, I think it was just Sabretooth's character, and they end up in the school for the gifted, and Rogue is able to form relationships with all the, you know, the young students, all the mutants. She's able to find out a better way for herself, and Xavier is going to help Wolverine try and recover his past. And, you know, it's really cool how it plays out in the second movie, but he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know what he is. And Xavier offers him the ability to stay here, learn, be better, and will help you. And that's a really cool thing. And like I said, as things go along, because Mystique can kind of, she's like a ditto in a way where she can kind of like mask herself as different people. She kidnaps Senator Kelly. They use a machine, and Senator Kelly basically, he mutates, but he ends up dying because of the fact that the mutation's it's almost like a cancer, kind of almost like a atom bomb of scenario where his everything just messes up, and he ends up in the school for gifted and just turns into liquid and dies. And it's very disturbing, depressing, but it's a fact of reality that Magneto, as hard as he wants to create this symbiotic relationship with everyone, he's doing it in the wrong way. That's the way society is. They do it in the wrong way, and it turns out bad for everyone. And so there's some really good sequences in here. Like I said, the sequence when you first meet the X-Men, meet Wolverine, that's a really good sequence because there's a whole, you know, they're rescuing Jean Grey, rescuing Rogue and Wolverine. And then you got the train sequence where Magneto basically steals Rogue or kidnaps her, kind of like, you know, uses Wolverine to like throw him and stuff like that. And then there's the stuff in the, you know, the Statue of Liberty where the final sequence takes place, and that's really fun because you finally get to see the X-Men in their uniforms, which aren't the normal uniforms you see in the comics. But there are some goofy moments in here. My favorite scene, which is one of the worst dialogue scenes ever, is when Toad is using his tongue to basically try and kill Storm, Halle Berry's character, and he gets stuck there, and the Storm uses lightning to strike him and basically kill him. And Storm goes, "Do you know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning?" And you go, "Okay, there's gonna be a cool moment here." And then she goes, "The same thing as everything else." And I laughed. I remember laughing when I first time I saw this because I saw this in the theater. Like I really remember seeing it. And it's one of my favorite lines. Like, did we crash it in Star Wars Episode 1? It's one of my favorite lines because it's so bad and so cheesy and just so. This movie is like that. It has some weird dialogue moments, but the characters are so entertaining to watch. You know, not on top of like the main characters, but like Storm and Cyclops and, you know, Toad and Sabretooth. Mystique, I think, is one of the better characters in this movie. Rebecca Romijn doesn't get a lot of love because of Jennifer Lawrence, but she's fantastic as Mystique. She's having a lot of fun with her character, and the fact that they had to use prosthetics and she's like naked through most of the movie, but the prosthetics cover up most of the, you know, the bits and stuff like that. But then Jean Grey, Famke Janssen's character, is fantastic. She's one of the best parts about this movie because she has that drive to help people get better. And it's such a shame that her character, especially in Dark Phoenix, what I'm getting the gist of, but especially in Last Stand, her character gets screwed over. If they were going to do a Dark Phoenix movie, they should have done it in a trilogy or something, or do it on Disney Plus, or give some some movement towards that character, because the Phoenix Saga is an amazing saga, but it's just not played well. And in the first two movies, Famke Janssen, her build up to her eventual Phoenix persona is so good. She's so conflicted. She's so just entangled in her emotions that she does a great job, and she doesn't give enough credit either because of Hugh Jackman Wolverine. That's understandable because Hugh Jackman's so good in the role. But yeah, like I said, I like X2 better, but this movie has so much fun with what it's doing. It has so much fun with the premise. It looks amazing. It looks great. You know, everybody's just so magnetic, and it's just so much good stuff in here. Stan Lee gets that first real cameo that we're going to see him in every other Marvel movie up to Avengers Endgame, when unfortunately he passed. But it's just fun to see that this whole entire universe finally got started because of one movie, and that everything just kind of rolled into that, you know, cosmic sphere. And yes, I know this was Fox, and I know Marvel was in debt and so on and so forth, but the fact that this movie finally gave us credibility to have realistic superhero movies and to do it justice, it was just a nice thing to see. There was no more Roger Cormans. There's no more Spawns, even though Todd McFarlane and Blumhouse are doing a Spawn movie, which I hope is good. But there was no more of this insanity. We finally got cohesiveness outside of Fantastic Four and Ghost Rider and Daredevil, but that's a different story. But yeah, so that's gonna be it. I really like this movie. I think it's a trendsetter. I think it's a revolutionary experience that is not used much in the process today. But anyways, that's gonna be my first take on X-Men. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said in the beginning, comment below, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and tell me what your favorite moment of this movie is. Tell me what your favorite character is. Wolverine, probably. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these 2 videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.